What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video we're talking about every fighter from UFC 304, which is coming up this weekend, and I'm going to be discussing who needs to win the most. And by that I mean who is under the most pressure, who is cooked if they lose, and then on the opposite end of things, who isn't really affected too much by a loss. I'm going to talk about every fighter. Of course, I'm not going to really be talking much about the prelim fighters because no one cares about them, but I'll spend more time on the notable fighters, but I will talk about everyone on the card. So yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments if you agree with my points, if you agree with how I think or how I'm assessing these fighters to be completely cooked if they lose or to be okay if they lose. But regardless, go follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's get into it. First up, the champion in the main event, Leon Edwards. Now look, is he completely cooked if he loses? No, he can probably still work back to a title shot. Maybe they do an immediate rematch. Maybe they do Belal versus Shavkat and then do Leon versus Shavkat or something if Belal wins. But the fact that he has defended, or if Shavkat wins, sorry, but the fact that he has defended the belt twice already, I do think he has some favour with the company. Do I think they're going to run an immediate rematch regardless? No. One, I just don't really think he loses. The pressure is on him, though, to have a good performance, though. It's not just the pressure on him to actually win the fight. It's also the pressure of him to actually show out and have a good performance, because he's back in England, he's in front of his home crowd, and he needs to put on a good performance, because the rhetoric has shifted from Leon. Like, for the longest time, it was no one cares about this guy, he's a bum, or not a bum, but he's not interesting. Then he KOs Leon, everyone's acting like this dude's just the fucking most dangerous fighter to ever exist. And then those next two fights, the Usman trilogy was actually pretty fun, but that Colby fight was boring as fuck, took a lot of people's excitement levels off Leon Edwards. And so yeah, he needs to get a good performance. He can't just go out there and win a pretty boring 49-46 lackluster decision. I do think he needs to go out there, not only win, but win dominantly, either win by finish or just absolutely school Belal and like 50-44 him. Otherwise, I do think Leon will come away with maybe not less stock. I think people will still respect the win, but people will start to be even more like, bro, this dude is fucking mid as hell and we don't like watching him fight, and he'll lose more favour with the company as well. But regardless, Leon Edwards, I'll say pressure rating about a 6-7 out of 10. Obviously, he's worked up to this point. He's on like a 13-fight unbeaten streak. If he loses his belt, that's the main thing. You lose that championship pay that comes with the belt. So yeah, Leon Edwards definitely needs to win, but not like his life fucking depends on a win here. Like his entire career depends on a win. So yeah, I'll go with like a 6 or 7 out of 10 pressure rating for Leon Edwards. Let's move on though to the other fighter in the main event, Belal Muhammad. Belal, bro, I'll be straight up with you. If you do not win this fight, you are completely cooked. You're never getting a title shot. You are never getting a top 5 opponent ever again. You will be forced unless it's Shavkat. They might give you Shavkat. But apart from that, you will be forced to be the prospect guy. You'll probably fight like Ian Gary, or you'll fight like, I don't know, the winner of Sean Brady, Gilbert Burns, if it's Sean Brady. Oh no, never mind. You beat both of them already. Sorry, I'm a retard. No, but like, you know what I mean. He'll get these up-and-comers. He'll probably have to fight like Michael Morales at some point. He'll fight like a Danny Barlow down the line. Like, if he loses, he's going to go into fucking gatekeeper mode forever, top 5 gatekeeper mode. He will never get put in a position to get a title shot. He could he could beat every other top 5 fighter in the division, and he still won't get one. This man needs to win, otherwise he's never fighting for a belt again. He will forever fade into irrelevancy. There will no longer be the talks of, man, you just got to give Belal his title shot, man. Like, people, even if he then deserves it again in the future, there will be no one campaigning for a Belal Muhammad second title shot if he loses this fight, unless it's like a really competitive, maybe a robbery decision. But if he gets finished, absolutely cooked, just retire at that point. And also if he just gets kind of schooled and doesn't really have any moments. And this dude's been doing a whole lot of yapping, bro. He's been saying his resume's close to GSP level if he wins. He's been saying he's got fucking hands like Canelo. Like, this dude's been doing a whole lot of yapping. Press conference, look, I forgot to mention about Leon. Bad look that he tried to punk and like flinch, like make Belal flinch and failed. Bad look, lost some aura with that one. But Belal spent the entire press conference losing aura because he would just try and say something and it was just not, it just didn't hit any time. So yeah, Belal needs to win. He's cooked if he doesn't. I'll say like a 10 out of 10 pressure rating. I think out of everyone on this card, Belal needs to win the most, arguably. Let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Tom Aspinall. He needs to win this fight, in my opinion. This is not the same as Belal in terms of, like, he'll never get a title shot. Like, very likely Aspinall will fight for a belt again, regardless of the result. Because heavyweight is garbage, and I can name on one hand the amount of fighters that are actually in contention for a belt. Apart from Jones and Stipe, because they're both going to retire, Aspinall, Garn, Volkov, Blaydes, Almeida. I've actually excluded Pavlovich at this point, because right now, unless he wins another fight against the top guy, then I'm having him out for now. Maybe 6. If you want to include Pavlovich, you can include Pavlovich. But like, apart from Jones and Stipe, who I don't really count, there are 6 fighters that I consider talented at heavyweight. 6 of them. And yeah, that's it. So Aspinall, look, very likely, and he's already beaten Volkov, he's already beaten Pavlovich. So yeah, Almeida, and Almeida's lost to Blaydes already. So, like, there's going to be a whole bunch of rematches at heavyweight coming in the future. We're already seeing it with Garn and Volkov. Obviously, this rematch too. Bit different circumstances, but you know what I mean. I think very likely we see Aspinall Pavlovich ran back. Very likely we see Pavlovich. Actually, no, we probably won't see Pavlovich Volkov. But you know what I mean. Pavlovich Blaydes will probably get ran back at some point. We're going to see all these fights a bunch of times. So Aspinall, it's not like he can never win the belt if he loses this. But the reason why he needs to win is because he's been talking so much about Jon Jones, rightfully so, calling him out, saying that he wants to fight him, all of this. The fans of the narrative around John ducking Aspinall, which is true, that narrative is hotter than ever right now. And if Aspinall wins, especially by early finish, it will continue to just grow hotter and hotter, and the fans will just continue to get on Jon Jones' ass on Twitter. And just tell him that he's ducking. And we're going to see more Jon Jones meltdowns on Twitter saying, I'm the GOAT of the sport. I beat all these unranked fucking bums and not unranked. I beat all these fucking small middleweights that came up to light heavyweight. My legacy, guys. What about my legacy? I don't have to fight Tom Aspinall. I can fight Jon Jones. I can fight fucking Stipe, sorry. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, John's just been coping on Twitter. And if Aspinall loses this fight, he's going to jump into it and be like, I told you so, guys. Don't hype up all these prospects before they get to the top, man. Like, he'll just say some bullshit and it'll be annoying, and then he'll just yap, and then he'll beat Stipe, retire, and get called to go to the sport. But we need Aspinall to win so that he can actually have a chance of getting that fight. Because right now, even though he deserves that fight already, even without this fight, yeah, there's no chance he gets it if Blaydes beats him. Like, 0 chance. So that'll be a bad look. Also, losing in your home crowd, terrible look if that happens. But yeah, I'd say like an 8 or 9 out of 10 pressure rating for Aspinall. In my opinion, it's like extremely must win for him. He's expected to win too, massive favourite. They're really setting this, because otherwise they probably would just make him wait out and he could have just got promoted. But like, he is saying like, I want to fight, and respect to him for it. He's like, I want to fight in England. I want to fight in front of my home crowd. I'm not going to wait out to get promoted to the undisputed champion if Jones retires. Let me fight now. And if that all backfires and he loses, it's going to be tough. So yeah, like 8 or 9 out of 10 pressure rating for Tom Aspinall. Let's move on though to his opponent, Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes, look, does he need to win? No. Is it definitely a good thing if he does for his career? For sure. It would be great if he wins this. He's got a belt around his waist. Knowing Dana White, Dana's going to show the press conference back. Curtis Blaydes? What are we going to do with Blaydes? You know, a stripping of the belt. You know, this fight, it's not really for the real belt. You know, we all know that's Jon Jones. Jon Jones is the greatest mixed martial artist ever. And he's going to be fine. See, that's for the real belt, guys. So Curtis, yeah, sits outside, kid. You know, good win, but we're stripping you with the belt. That's what Dana's going to do if Blaydes wins this regardless. So I don't think Blaydes is going to get he'll get definite respect from the fans if he wins. I feel like more people will be annoyed and it'll just be a bit anticlimactic. People will be very pissed off. And if he loses, who cares? Again, Blaydes will just go back into the win a couple and then loses like the top contender fight to a Pavlovich, to a Garn or whatever in the future maybe. You know what I mean? Like, that's Blaydes' spot. It's like, it's not like must win for him. He's expected to lose. If he wins, it's just a fucking bonus. So I'll say like a 6, 7 out of 10, maybe 5, 6 out of 10. It's a bonus if he wins. He's not expected to win. He's just going to show up, try and play spoiler. But yeah, he's not the one that all the pressure is on, in my opinion, with this matchup. Let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Paddy Pimblett. Look, does he need to win this fight? No. Is it a necessary part of his career to not just become irrelevant and for people to not give a fuck about him? Yes. He needs to win this fight to become ranked. That's how he really kind of ascends to that level where people are going to start to be like, okay, you've actually beat someone good. Because I don't think anyone views his wins as good. Like, we all view Tony Ferguson as old and washed. We all view the Jared Gordon fight as a robbery. And none of his other opponents are that good. Like, Vandramini, Vargas, Levitt. Like, he's not really beaten anyone all that good. So, if he beats Bobby Green, who's actually a good fighter, that's going to get him a lot of respect. That's going to get people starting to be like, okay, I could actually see this dude beating like a Jalen Turner maybe with the grappling. Or like the discussions around the Moicano fight might actually happen. Maybe, and he can argue for like a top 10 opponent after that. Like a Dan Hooker. Like these fights at the very top, I do think he loses. But he needs to win this to not just be like, okay, we got Paddy Pimblett fighting as the fucking feature fight of a fight night. Like, if he wants to stay on pay-per-views, then he's got to win this fight. Otherwise, he'll kind of just go to the, yeah, he's popular in the UK, but he's not all that good. He has the potential for people to actually think he's good. If he goes out there, subs Bobby Green, that would be very helpful for him and necessary for his career to really become the next, like, step, you know, for people to really actually respect his career. So I'll go like an 7 or 8 out of 10 for Paddy Pimblett on the pressure rating. You fucking know yourself, mate. I fucking have to win this fight, lad. I can't really do the Paddy impression too well, but anyway, I always try them. That's what we do on this channel, but we try impressions and we fail them, but we keep moving forward, you know? Anyway, let's move on to Bobby Green. Bobby Green, now, I don't know why the fuck this is the image I'm using. It's because the fucking UFC website won't load a fucking the profile of Bobby Green that has the format of all the other ones, so I'm just having to take his fucking just a PNG image of Bobby Green. But regardless, look, is Bobby Green, does he have much to lose? No. I think people will clown him a bit if he loses. They'll be like, bro, you lost to Paddy, you suck. He'll lose his ranking as well. But Bobby Green, he was not ranked he was not considered like a crazy good fighter until he beat Dawson. And no one really considered him good, but at least then he became ranked and he had those bigger matchups available. He had those pay-per-view fights available rather than just fighting on fight nights like against Dover or Grant Dawson or whatever. He was able to be like, okay, I can fight... did I say Grant Dawson? No, so yeah, like Grant Dawson, Jared Gordon, these type of fights. Now, but then like Ferguson... the other one, like, well, the Jalen Turner was a fight night, but, like, bigger spotlight. He'll get these bigger spotlights if he has this top 15 spot next to his name. If he wins this fight, he could be looking at probably not a Moicano. Maybe if Moicano loses to BSD, he could get, like, a Dan Hooker fight if he loses to Gamrot. So Bobby Green definitely needs to win this to keep his bigger fights available. Otherwise, he's probably going to get fed to fucking, what's his name, like Mauricio Hoofy or some shit like that. But, yeah, I'll say like a 6, 7 out of 10. I think Paddy's got a little bit more pressure on him just for the fact that he actually has the star potential and he's still rising with his. Bobby Green's just that gatekeeper kind of range. So he doesn't have a crazy amount. It's like saying Neil Magny has a lot to lose if he loses to Michael Morales. Like, no, he's just going to stay in his position and he's going to go back to how he was before the Grant Dawson fight. Just an unranked guy who wins and loses pretty consistently. Anyway, let's talk... So, yeah, 6 or 7 out of 10 for Bobby Green. Let's talk about the next fight. Next up, Christian Leroy Duncan. I'm going to give him like a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's not crazy pressure on him. It's not a ranked opponent. He's not considered some mega prospect. He is a prospect, but if he loses this, it's tough for him. That'll be losses to 2 guys outside the rankings. That'll definitely decrease his stock in some people's eyes. But ultimately... he's fighting in front of his home crowd. He's going to get a big pop if he wins. If he loses, I mean, it's the same as any other loss for a fighter. It's just tough, but it doesn't really carry any like crazy negative effects. He won't get a big spot like this on a pay-per-view. He won't get these big like promotional pushes really for a while probably. But Christian Leroy Duncan, nothing crazy to lose. Gregory Rodriguez, similar. I think he has a little bit more to lose just because... of the fact he's not as young as CLD, sorry. And also he's lost some fights already. He's on a bit of a run. He's winning some fights. I think if he loses this fight, he's pretty firmly out of like top 15 talks because like people are arguing for Robocop versus like a ranked opponent, and if he wins, he could arguably get one. But if he loses, he'll be stuck again in probably gatekeeper range for the foreseeable future. So yeah, I'd say maybe a 5 for CLD and like a 6 for Robocop would probably be my pressure rating. If you guys agree or not, let me know. Let's move on to the main card opener. Next up is Giga. I don't think he has too much to lose. I'll go like a 5 out of 10 or some shit like that. Look, that'll be 1 and 2 in his last 3. It'll probably put him pretty firmly out of contention, but I don't think anyone really considers him in contention right now. That Kape loss really hasn't aged well, and he looked mid as fuck against Caceres. So if he comes out there and looks mid as shit against Allen, if he has a competitive fight with him, maybe a split decision is different. If he loses, it's kind of just like, yeah, Giga's not all that. He never reached the point where a lot of people expected him to. And he's 35 too. He's a lot older. He entered his prime. Like, he wasted 2 years of his career almost waiting from after that Kape fight. So yeah, Giga, I think he needs to win to be considered like a top 10 caliber fighter. But I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to be going away from 304 being like, damn, Giga, either real disappointment or damn, bro, that was impressive. Like, maybe if he finishes Allen, he'll get some real hype around him. But for now, I don't think Giga's really got much going. So yeah, I'll say like a 5 out of 10 for him on the pressure rating. Arnold Allen, I think there's a lot more pressure. He's coming off 2 losses, and I think he needs to win this fight to keep himself in the realms of title possibility. If he wins this, he can get maybe a top 5 opponent next. He could fight like a Yair Rodriguez type and be looking at maybe 1 or 2 wins away from a title shot. If he loses, that's 3 losses in a row, sorry. He'll lose to the number 9 guy. He'll probably slip down quite a bit. And also, are we forgetting Allen's like best win? I think a lot of people think he beat Movza, but his best win officially is the Kape injury. Obviously, he was beating Kape, but that was an injury, and he beat Sadiq Yusuf, but, that hasn't aged crazy well. I'm not saying Allen's not good. I think he's very good. I'm picking him to win. But I think people will start to shift the narrative around Allen and be like, damn, I mean, is he really that good? That happens with a lot of fighters. They'll lose a couple in a row to good fighters, and people will start being like, damn, bro, is he actually even that good? So, yeah, Arnold Allen needs to win this to stay in title contention. I'll give him, like, a 7 out of 10 on the pressure rating. Yeah, he needs to win this to look at a top 5 opponent next. Otherwise, he'll probably get fed to, or not fed to, I'm saying he could still win this fight. But, he'll be the guy that's fighting the Lopez's entering the top 10, or maybe down the line, the Gene Silvers. He'll be the guy he'll be that top 10 gatekeeper if he loses this fight. Let's move on, though, to the next matchup. Nathaniel Wood. Honestly, out of all the, less intriguing fights on the card, the top 6, I don't count this as the top 6. I count Mokaev, Kape, and then the main card is the top 6. But apart from that, I'd say Nathaniel Wood arguably has the most to lose on the prelims. Well, not most to lose, but I think he's got a lot of pressure on him because he's getting fed kind of a layup in the eyes of the odds makers. He's a massive favourite, minus 400. And also a lot of people still think this guy's top 15 caliber, which I'm not saying he isn't, but I think if he loses to fucking Daniel Pineda or has a close fight with him, that's going to lower his stock a lot. So I think he needs to come out here and look impressive to keep that hype around him alive, have a really good performance in front of his home crowd. Otherwise, he'll kind of just be you'll see Nathaniel Wood and you'll be like, damn, that's a good fight, bro. That's a maybe top 15 caliber. Winner maybe gets a top 15 opponent. If he loses this, his fights in the foreseeable future are going to just be oh yeah, Nathaniel Wood's fighting, cool. I don't think that he'll have much hype around his name if he loses to Daniel Pineda, who's 39. On the side of Pineda, no one really cares. So Wood, I'll give him a 6, 7 out of 10 maybe. Pineda, no one really cares about him. He's expected to lose. He's 39. Yeah, I'll give him a 3 out of 10. There's no pressure on him, really. He's just trying to play spoiler. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Next up, Molly McCann. Look, she does actually have some pressure on her. She's down at a new weight class, and the thing, everyone's kind of views on you changes when you move down a weight class or move up a weight class. When you change, it's a fresh reset. You're yeah, I know they were a bit of a bum at the other division, but, they're undefeated in this weight class. And right now, Molly McCann's 1-0 at strawweight. She's got to win this one, go 2-0 at strawweight. She needs to just keep winning fights at strawweight to stop people from being hang on, didn't this bitch get subbed in a round by Julia Stoliarenko, who's a can? which is the answer is yes. Like, I don't think anyone really considers Molly McCann all that good, but she does need to win and probably get a decent finish, or at least a like beatdown win decision to have some hype around her, to keep that hype going, for her to get that moment on what's it called, Barstool Sports or whatever, on those UK programs, and people to be like, damn, Molly McCann's looking really good at strawweight. If she loses, she's officially irrelevant in 2 divisions, and the only care about her will be by the English fans when they go to England. But like, she does have some appeal to the like, she's got some casual appeal. She's definitely promotable. She kind of loses that if she takes the L this weekend. Bruna Brasil again, no one cares. Yeah, 2 out of 10. Molly McCann will give it like a 6. Bruna Brasil, couldn't care less. Let's move on to the next fight. Next up, we got Jake Hadley. Look, he's moving up from flyweight on short notice. No crazy pressure on him here. I'll give him like a 4 out of 10. If he loses, it's expected. He's fighting a way bigger dude. I mean, there's a negative in terms of that'll be 2 losses in a row. Probably no one will really care about Hadley anymore, but does anyone really care about Hadley? Oh, no, 3. Will that be 3? That'll be 3 losses in a row because he lost to Durden. So, yeah, that would be a rough look for Jake Hadley. Did he win a fight in between that? I don't think so. But, yeah, that's a rough look for Hadley, but still, up at bantamweight, I don't think anyone really cares. It's down on the card early. No one will really pay much attention. No one's going to go out of this being like, Jake Hadley, man, what a prospect he could have been, and all that hype's gone now. Like, I don't think anyone's going to care. Loughran, a little bit more pressure on him, maybe like a 5 out of 10, I'll say, 6 out of 10. He is still considered somewhat of a prospect. He's only got 1 loss in his career. And yeah, he's the favourite. He definitely needs to win and show up impressively, but not like a, oh my god, Loughran's a bum. Like, it's just a bad look if you lose to a flyweight coming up on a week's notice. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. Next up, Marcin Prachnio. Look, no pressure. He's a bum. He's a can. Yeah. I mean, no one really cares a fuck. Also, I forgot to put the graphic of Bukauskas in, and I can't be bothered adding it in, so I'll talk about him now. Neither of them, I'll give them both like a 3, 4 out of 10. No one considers them good. Neither of them are looking at top 15 opponents. Yeah, that's just so, that shows how much no one cares about this fight, is I literally forgot to put Bukauskas in. I genuinely forgot. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. Next up, Oban Elliott. I don't know, not crazy pressure on Mr. Elliott. He's a bit of a prospect, I guess, but he's the favourite to lose, or he's favoured to lose, or expected to lose, I should say. I'll say like a 4 or 5 out of 10. You know, anytime you're new in the UFC, coming off a bit of a disappointing debut, you definitely do need to show up well in your next appearance. But no, like, there's no crazy. This not guy's lot. He's not a mega prospect. He's not some absolute superstar. He's just a dude that's probably going to lose, and if he wins, he'll probably have a cool moment on the mic. Like, that's what we're looking at here. Preston Parsons, again, out, like, not bottom of the barrel, but just unranked, middle of the range welterweight. No one really cares about him. He's not looking at a top 15 opponent with a win. He is decent. Like, a couple more wins after this could get a top 15 guy, but yeah, no one's talking about Preston Parsons as some prospect. So yeah, both of them, another pretty, like, another storylineless matchup. Whatever. Yeah, moving on. Both like 3, 4 out of 10. Let's move on. Next up, we got Muhammad Mokaev. This is one of the more interesting fights on the card, and I don't know why they've moved it down this far. Maybe to get some people to watch the early prelims, because they realised that Parkin was on there, and they're like, yeah, no one's going to watch these. Everyone's only going to tune in for like the last 2 prelims. So yeah, Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev. Muhammad Mokaev, he's undefeated. 100%. There you go. Like, that's your answer. He loses his O if he loses this weekend. Bad look. Well, not a bad look, but definitely takes away the hype immediately. Like, there's just like an extra 50, 100 points of hype when you have an O next to your name. Like, when you are 11-0, 10-0, 15-0, whatever, everyone's like, damn, bro, undefeated prospect. Who's going to be the one to take his O? You lose that O immediately. It's same with, like, it's almost the same with, like, Raul versus Junior. It's like 17, 18-year-old Raul versus Junior, youngest fighter. Once he's, like, 22, is anyone going to care? Probably not. But, like, Mokaev, you see it happen with all these people that lose their O's. I know Ikram didn't lose his O, but, like, Ikram already lost his O to Hamza. But, like, when fighters lose, they go, fraud check, bum, lost his O, never that good. So, yeah, Mokaev definitely fighting for that on that front. Also, title shot with a win. Same for Kape. I'll talk about him in a second. If he loses, He's probably not going to get pushed too far back the rankings. He'll probably get the loser of like Kaikara France versus Steve Erceg, probably, would be my guess if he loses that fight. And yeah, Muhammad Mokaev, definitely a win is pretty necessary this weekend. Title shot with a win, arguably. So whenever there's a title on the line, you're like at a 7 out of 10 already. Add on to that the fact that he's undefeated, you're looking at probably 8 out of 10. Also, all this beef and shit that's been going on, that affects both of them in the way that they'll come out of this fight if they lose. But they've been yapping a whole lot. They've been talking shit. There's been stuff going around on social media. So yeah, you got to back it up inside the cage and not just end up on your knees like a bitch and just be sucking Kape's wood through his shorts for the whole fight. Pause. But yeah, that's like what Mokaev does. So he needs to show up pretty decently. Look, if he wins, it should be enough to get him a title shot. But if he just stinks it up and does absolutely nothing, then yeah, Erceg or Kaikara fans could probably get a shot over him if they win impressively, which that fight's a lot more likely to be fun for either. Like, if Kape wins, it'll be fun. If Mokaev wins, it won't be. I think either way, if Kai or Erceg wins, that fight's going to be fun. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Manel Kape. So I'll say like 8 out of 10 for Mokaev. Kape, I'd say similar, maybe even more, maybe 9 out of 10 for Kape. He's not undefeated, so he's not fighting for the O on that front. But Kape has been unable to make it to a fucking fight in ages. He's been unable to, like, make weight. He's been pulling out of fights. A lot of the aura around Kape, you know, since he just drops the fag bombs all over Sydney, has been crazy. And, like, people were hyping him up. We all love him. Still, I'm a big fan of Manel Kape, and he has the potential. If he goes out there, finishes Mokaev and just calls Manchester a bunch of fags, then that will be tremendous stuff, and he will get so much hype around him and get a title shot, definitely. And I think he's more likely to get if they both go to a decision, if either one of them wins a decision, it's more likely to be fun if Kape's the one winning the fight than Mokaev. So he'll be more likely to get a title shot regardless of a decision or a finish. So I do think Kape's fighting for a title shot, and if he loses, then yeah, people are going to be like, bro, Kape's just a yapper. He's not really showing up in the cage. He ain't all that. He'll definitely lose a lot of the aura. So yeah, I'd say Mokaev probably an 8, Kape a 9, or maybe Mokaev a 7, Kape's an 8. I think Kape has a little bit more to lose than Mokaev. Mokaev's also younger. But yeah, both of them have a lot to lose and a lot to gain this fight too. So a lot of pressure on this fight. Let's move on though down the card to someone else who has a lot of pressure, but on a different aspect of them. Parkin. Just an absolute blob of a human, no muscle insertions anywhere on his body. This has turned into just me roasting the physique of Mick Parkin. But look, he does have an undefeated record, and he is a big favourite this weekend. So yes, he does actually have a little bit to lose. He's got a lot of calories to lose as well, to be honest. A lot of weight to lose, I should say. But yeah, Mick Parkin definitely wants to keep that O alive. I think he goes to 10-0, I believe, if he wins this. Maybe he's like 10-0 already, I don't know. But regardless, you want to keep that hype going. You want to get that win in your home crowd. Maybe even get a finish would be ideal for Mick Parkin. But yeah, definitely needs the win. Brzeski, I mean, he actually, look, all seriousness, all jokes aside, being fully serious, he might be fighting for his job. I know he is coming off a win, but he got finished by Waldo Cortez Acosta, got lost to Carl Williams. This dude loses a lot of fights. I don't think he's very good. He beat Walter Walker, but that's not that impressive. So if he loses to Parkin, he could be walking. He could be getting his pink slip, and he could be skedaddling and leaving the UFC. But yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Crosbie versus Sam Patterson. Crosbie, I mean, they should cut him if he loses, especially if he gets finished, but they probably won't. He's already a bum, no one cares about him, like 3-4 out of 10. What's his name? Sam Patterson, a little bit more to lose given the fact he is upper welterweight, new weight class. He lost his lightweight fight to Ashmuz, but he won his more recent fight against Johan Lainez. So at welterweight, he is still considered a bit of a prospect. Not many losses on that record either. So yeah, he's still considered a pretty solid fighter and can keep building towards like contention at welterweight. Obviously, if you lose to Kiefer Crosbie, you're a bum. But yeah, next fight. This bitch, fake tan motherfucker. Who cares? 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. And the other bitch literally does not even have her photo on the UFC website. Check her Instagram though. She's caked up beyond belief. Face is atrocious though. bag that shit up immediately, like paper bag that. Anyway, yeah, both of them have fuck all to lose. They're unranked women's fighters. But that is the video done, guys. I've done this video for the last couple pay-per-views. I'm liking it. I think it's a pretty fun video to do. I yap for a lot of the time, so yeah. But go follow my Instagram, LeftHandMMA. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my statements or not. Looking forward to the fights. I'll see you guys in the next video. Maybe that's the postcard recap. Maybe I'll do another video before then. But yeah, peace out, boys.